Maybe we should call this video Roy Rants About Royalties, because I got a feeling that's what's coming down the pike here. So I got this question from a subscriber. He says, "Hi, Roy. I came across your blog talking about copywriting royalties. I'm an email copywriter, and I have one potential client. This client has a huge list, 150,000 plus. Can I charge him by royalty? I'm thinking a fixed price per month plus 5% of the revenue generated by the emails. Do you have any advice on that? Thanks, M." Okay. Maybe. Maybe you can charge royalties. I don't know what this client's system looks like. I don't know if this is like they have a really simple order page and all of their revenue is driven by email. I don't know if they have a sales team in place. I don't know if they have something more like complex or different or whatever, right? But I know that inside of a marketing department and inside of a marketing system, emails are critically important. In fact, emails are one of the highest ROI marketing investments that any business can make today. But for most businesses, emails are a tiny fraction of the total revenue driver. And so, for example, they might be running Facebook ads to the emails, to a sales page, to whatever, or they could be running VSLs, or they could be running webinars, or they could be running, I don't know. I don't know what this client is. But I do know that for the vast majority, for example, if somebody came to my business, I'm not hiring copywriters right now. I don't even want to talk to you to try and write my emails for me. But if somebody were to come to me right now, and even if I were considering outsourcing some element of writing my emails, I would not be willing to pay a royalty on the emails because there's too many other things going on in my business that are driving that revenue. And so, my inclination is that if you want royalties, you better create entire systems for generating revenue. And it's not just like what you can track back to a click from an email. So, an example, I recently recorded a training for my BTMS insiders that was, it's called Creating a Client Funnel Project from Scratch. And I explained how, this client came to me, they wanted to talk to me about writing copy for them. And I said, you don't just need me to write like a piece of copy, a VSL, whatever. You need me to create a complete funnel for you. And so I explained all the moving pieces. And so there's the core VSL, and there's upsell 1 and upsell 2 and downsells. And there are landing pages that people arrive at before the VSL. There's emails to drive traffic. There are other ads to drive traffic. There's emails to drive people back into the video sales letter. There's a whole mix of copy that is all working together to create conversions. Not only that, this client, when they came to me, they wanted a VSL for this particular offer. And I said, that's not a great acquisition offer. You might be able to do acquisition on it, but if my back is against the wall, Gary Halbert used to call it the gun to your head. So if you had a gun to your head and you had to make this work, what is it that you would do? So gun to my head. What would I do to make this work? Well, all of those moving pieces. But in addition to that, I said, this is what the offer needs to be. And it's very different than what you're trying to sell right now. And so I laid all of that out for them. And so essentially, I didn't create the content of the offer, but I designed the offer. I designed the entire conversion architecture, the entire conversion system. I created the messaging for this particular offer, and I implemented so many moving pieces to get that all together. And that's the level of work that I do with pretty much every client. And that's why it's so easy for me to justify. In fact, I should be charging more because arguably, there's without that, there's no conversion system in place for something that is that substantial. And so for something like that, it's very easy to ask for royalties because without it, like the money doesn't show up. Without you writing these emails, it's hard to say. Like, I don't know. Like if these emails, speaking to the person that asked this question, if these emails are the only thing that's driving sales and like they're clicking through to a cart page and they're checking out from there, yeah, maybe. But I don't know. Like at first blush, my guess is somebody that has a list of 150,000 has a whole lot going on, and you asking for 5% of their business or 5% of this big chunk of their business, which is that whole huge asset of the email list that they've built up, and more importantly, the relationships that they have with all of those people. You asking for 5% of that just because you show up and you're writing emails, that it's pretty questionable to me. Now, on the other hand, you could actually show up and you could, I don't know exactly. Like you could double their business through your emails. You could have a huge positive impact. And so one alternative to royalties that I often recommend to people is something. It's a performance bonus. So this isn't necessarily it's not like a 5% of revenue thing, right? But you have a lot of metrics for a business that has 150,000 people on their email list already. And so they probably have gross revenue metrics. They probably have a monthly value per subscriber metric. They probably have all sorts of like cost per revenue per email sent. Revenue per 1,000 is probably how they would measure it. All sorts of different metrics that exist in their business. And within all of those metrics, they probably know which ones are most important to them. And they probably know, what good numbers are versus bad numbers in all of these metrics. And if you're able to work with them a little bit and say, hey, what's your most important email metric? And they might say it's revenue per 1,000 emails sent or something like that. And you say, okay, and what does that look like if, what impact does it have if you improve that by 50% on your business? What impact does it have if you improve that by 25% on your business? What impact does it have if you improve that by 100% on your business? And then you say, well, I believe that my job as a copywriter is very similar to the job of a salesperson, meaning I'm not succeeding in writing these emails if you're not getting a response. And so what I would like to do is I would like to have the opportunity to earn like a salesperson if I am doing that job well. And I'm not necessarily asking you to track royalties and all of that, but one way that we measure that job or my success in doing that job, fulfilling that role in your business, is that number, the revenue per 1,000, let's say, or the monthly value per 1,000 subscribers on the list or per subscriber on the list. And I would like to propose that if on any given month I hit a threshold that is 50% higher, that I receive X bonus, and if that threshold is 100% higher, I receive whatever bonus, and if the threshold, for every 50% higher beyond that, I receive whatever bonus. And it's a little bit, it's a little bit easier to track if they don't have it in place. It's something where, it's just a number that they could run at the end of the month and decide. It's also a little bit easier for them to kind of come to grips with if they're not used to paying royalties. And I think that because email tends not to be such a substantial part of that's maybe not the right term. Because email is just a part of the total online marketing picture, it's probably a lot easier for them to stomach some kind of bonus like that rather than something that's, hey, I get 5% of all revenue. Or build funnels and create funnels and do something much more substantial. One final bit of feedback as I was reading this question, it said, I have one potential client. I have a feeling if you only have one potential client, you're going to have a real hard time getting any kind of performance bonus, because the more you need this client to close, the more they're going to feel it, the less likely they are going to be to want to work with you in the first place, and the less flexible they're likely to be about any kind of compensation structure. And so if you only have one potential client, regardless of if it could be a huge client, you would do very well to try and get a few more clients in the door, and use, for example, what I teach in the Launch Your Client Business mini course to make sure you have a really clear offer, a really good offer, and you are putting it in front of the right people in the right way. And that's in the Launch Your Client Business mini course. It's free. I'll include a link in the description with this video, as well as I'll include a link to that creating a client funnel project from scratch. So if you're interested in learning what goes on behind the scenes when I'm working with clients, it's a great way to figure that out. And finally, I do have an entire training where I go really deep into copywriting royalties and pay for performance, with a whole bonus on copywriting contracts and client agreements. And I'll include a link to that as well. So I have a lot of content to help you really go deeper into all of this. The Launch Your Client Business mini course is free. The other two are part of my BTMS Insiders training library. But big picture, the more responsible your marketing is for the total customer journey towards making a purchase, the more likely it is that you can get paid royalties on that. If you are only, claiming a part of that purchase, even if it is an important part like email, there's a high likelihood that they're just not going to, they're not gonna take the deal. They're not gonna want to work with you. Like if you propose it, it might actually blow up the whole thing in your face. Proposing something like bonus compensation, if we hit certain success metrics, they might be much more open to that. But a straight royalty starting with, the first email you write, you're kind of discounting the fact that they've put a lot of time, energy, effort, money, their own previous marketing, etc., into the results that are being created by those emails. And when you discount that, they're probably not going to have a lot of respect for you, because you're not respecting all of their investment in creating such a powerful marketing asset and their business as a whole. So that's kind of my real take on that question. I don't know. What do you think? Leave a comment below. Let me know on a scale of 1 to 10 how valuable you found this and why. Where do you disagree? Where do you agree? What are your insights and takeaways from this conversation? Tap that like button before you go so you'll get more content like this delivered to you. And so the magical algorithms of the internet will know to share it with more people like you who will find it valuable you can certainly share it with folks directly, and subscribe before you go. You can subscribe here. You can also go to breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com, get my daily emails Monday through Friday, including these videos and more exclusive content for email subscribers. My name is Roy Furr. This has been a video issue of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. I always aim for that 10 out of 10 value. I hope that I have delivered it here, and I look forward to seeing you again in your next video issue. I'll see you soon. Bye.